when I see people use the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States, to justify trying to invent a world that is strictly limited to one ethnic group in the United States. These are the same, I'm talking about, Trump supporting Caucasian voters. I'm sorry, but that's who your demographic is.
Yeah. Trump supporting Caucasian voters. Trump supporting Caucasian voters. So they're voters, they're Caucasian, and they support Trump. This is your problem.
That's what it sounds like.
That's your demographic right there. That is the same people. In fact, they are Russians. They're actually Russians because they also want to kill Americans. And don't you dare tell me about something. I'm a Philadelphian, the city of brotherly love. I'm a traditional constitutionalist.
In the United States. These are the same, I'm talking about, Trump supporting Caucasian voters. I'm sorry, but that's who your demographic is.
Yeah.
If I were to do an intelligence analysis from...
Listen to the black lady go, this is so embarrassing for these people.
Traffic is.
Yeah.
If I were to do an intelligence analysis for MI6, that's precisely how it would
he works for them now, too.
The truth comes out with this guy. No, he's not working for them. I'm sure they wrote the book for him. MI6 is a bigger enemy than we realize. I'm quite convinced of that.
Analysis for MI6, that's precisely how it would read, right? No one's fooling anybody here.
Right?
The problem is that they feel that their position within society over the last 245 years, their current, strength and how strongly they feel about Donald Trump gives them an advantage that should wipe out all equality in America. They want to remove the words diversity from America. They want to remove the words equality from government documents.
No, we only want to remove the pronouns they and them. That's all.
This is what we fought for. When my great-great-grandfather and his brother ran away from slavery, their first thought wasn't, let's go up to Mississippi and get jobs. It was, let's go to Tennessee, get into the U.S. Army uniform, and fight for what little incremental progress we can make. But they weren't fighting just for black slaves who had run away. They were fighting for all America. My family serves for all America. I still serve for America by giving you this warning. But if you're a real American, you'll look at yourself and say, hey, wait a minute. Am I part of this? Am I here to use the Constitution as a fig leaf and tear away all the rights from your other fellow citizens?
Well, there's that old term, I bring it up once in a while, it's called a shuck and jive artist.
Yeah.
And this guy seems to be one of them.
So, this is programming somebody, or is making somebody feel good. And how is the Constitution being used as a fig leaf? I'm not quite sure I understand.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Maybe he meant as a wedge. Well, he has a bit of Sharpton-esque in him because, his grammar is proper, unlike Sharpton, but he just says weird shit. It's just like, what? What are you talking about? And we have to go look and see if he used the word insurgency on Bill Maher when he was on. I don't remember that. Maybe he did.
Might be hard to use.
Anyway, what's happening? The war in Ukraine.
I'll go back and find if there's
we'll find
that's
that.
available.
The war in Ukraine is of course a war against Americans and Russians killing Americans, but it's a problem that the messaging is dying down. It's not really front news. I think we don't actually have Americans dying or Europeans dying. That's part of the marketing problem of this, and it's being just used. It's been concatenated to or abstracted to Putin's price hike. And that has to include the war in Ukraine. So NATO needs to combat these false rumors about Russia, about what's really going down, how this took place, and because it's disinformation. So they made a beautiful animated video to share with us exactly that.
Russia continues to spread lots of false myths about NATO. So let us set the record straight. One myth is that NATO is aggressive towards Russia and is trying to encircle it. This is not true. NATO is a defensive alliance. Its purpose is to protect its allies. NATO does not seek confrontation and poses no threat to Russia. Every sovereign nation has the right to choose its own security arrangements. Russia has subscribed to this fundamental principle. We stay true to it and invite Russia to do the same. Another myth is that NATO promised Russia it would not expand after the Cold War. No such agreement was founding treaty. Decisions about membership are taken by consensus among all allies. No treaty signed by the United States, Europe, and Russia includes provisions regarding NATO membership. The myths need to be dismantled. The record needs to be set straight.
Thanks, NATO. So, you understand now? Russia is full of shit, of course. They're full of shit. Russia is just not, it's not true. There's so much, I would call it outright cover-up going on right now, certainly about Russia stuff. And when it comes to the primetime Purge, last night we were skimming around through what can we watch. There's not much going on, but there's a new series. The new series is on Netflix, Web of Make-Believe, Death, Lies, and the Internet. And you probably haven't seen this, but we looked at the first episode, and it was something that was actually kind of decent, but I don't remember what it was. It was about some scam that people pull on the internet. And I said, this is produced. Actually, I should probably look at that. I should see what that was, which one it was. And I thought, this is kind of decent. It's all right. It looked really well made, and so while we're watching the first episode, I look it up, and it's Ron Howard. Ron Howard has produced this, and I think he might.
He's no slouch.
He's no slouch. He's also a massive insider for the Democratic Party, I would say.
He's a huge woke Democrat stooge. Let's put it that way.
The first one was Death by SWAT, which is very compelling because, this swatting of people, where you call the SWAT team, and it happens amongst gamers a lot, and happens to Tim Pool a lot, and then their stories of this guy who did 37 swattings. He had courtrooms evacuated with his phony calls. And then one time, one of these gamers gave him I said, come and swat me, punk. And he gave his old address, and the guy over there just opened the door and got shot by the cops. So, I was like, this is pretty compelling. But I think that was just to draw us.
It's actually a good story, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was just to draw us into episode 2, A Murder in D.C. And this is about Seth Rich. They leave out any mention of the transfer of the files. And I had to show Tina William Binney where they did forensic evidence. They're like, no, this was transferred to.
Well, they put Binney on. Obviously, Ron Howard would bring Binney on the show.
No mention of Binney.
Yeah, Ron Howard would bring Binney on. That makes nothing but sense.
Not even mention of what's in the emails. Like Donna Brazil and all the. None of that.
Quarter mile.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz had to resign.
I-65 southbound south. Follow signs for I-40 west.
And then I put that in there.
What? No, of course
not. What the hell would be in there then?
It was like yoga things, recipes, joking back and forth. No mention of any of
Keep
this.
right at the fork.
What they had
Continue on
mentioned
I-65
is
south.
Rod Wheeler and all these, Bukowski and all these weirdos who showed up to get on the news, and these poor parents are like, we didn't tell them
Continue
to do that.
for 2
So they kept
miles.
getting kind of hoodwinked by I would say, like Alex
In
Jones
2 miles, use the left 2 lanes to take exit 84B for I-40 west toward Memphis.
Going, and then they go on TV, and then they just start spouting, and it's a mess for those people. But no discussion of any of the things that we know. Even, the server went to CrowdStrike in Ukraine. No mention the FBI never really saw it. All of this stuff. Just the guy from CrowdStrike going,
So what you're telling me is Ron Howard basically just did a whitewash video just to do a cover-up for the Democratic Party.
Yes.
Okay, well, good for him.
But why? What are they worried of? I mean, are people that close to spilling the beans that somehow magically this will flow across the M5M? What are they worried about? Nothing seems
I have no idea what they're worried about because it's so water under the bridge-ish. That shouldn't concern anybody.
Exactly.
There must be something in something. You're right. There has to be something that's big, and they have to continue to cover it up.
So there's a lot of articles about that. I put a couple in the show notes. A a lot of people tried to help me out with this, and I really appreciate the clip custodian. He pulled it out of his butt. Since we're talking about cover-up and the media not reporting truthfully, he made us a little supercut.